This is common buckthorn, which has become a major problem both in the northern and southern parts of the state of Minnesota. It was originally introduced as a landscape species and was used extensively in hedges, and it has spread out into our wild and forested areas. It's a major problem because it can grow very, very aggressively. It has a thorny structure to it, and it can make it virtually impossible to work your way through a wooded area. It also excludes so many other species which are much more valuable to wildlife. So it can be a dominant species that eliminates the diversity we'd really like to see in a forested area. Common buckthorn has several very distinct identifying features. One is this very definite sawtooth-like or serrated edge surface on the leaves themselves. And then you have the thorns on the main stem. Here's a good example. That's where it gets the name buckthorn from. Common buckthorn will go well into the fall, and if you ever have any problem with identification, when all the other trees and shrubs have dropped their leaves, just look for the shrub that still has green leaf tissue, and that's typically buckthorn. Another very characteristic identifying feature of buckthorn is the fruit or the berries. These mature very late in the year, early fall, and not midsummer. At this point in August, we still have green berries, where many of the other fruiting shrubs will have fruit that's already matured. When these are ripe, these berries will be a very, very dark purple, almost a black in color. Here in mid to late August, about the same time that common buckthorn berries are green, chokecherry is beginning to mature and color up. I have seen instances where homeowners have confused the two, and let me tell you, you do not want to make a pie out of buckthorn berries. Chokecherry is fine, but not the buckthorn. The fruit produces seeds which are not easily digested by birds, so there's very little value there, food value, and they take them, excrete them, and distribute the seeds all over the area. So it can take over an area, and it can become very, very aggressive, and it can become the dominant species in a very short period of time. There are a number of ways that we can eliminate this as a problem. It takes a concerted effort depending on what technique you're going to use, but we can show you some of those. On smaller shrubs, the easiest way to remove them is just to literally dig them out, pull them out if you can. You will find, though, that can be a little bit of a challenge, because once again, they have a very, very extensive root system. And then you can anticipate that there will be additional resprouting from the small sprouts that will emerge. You'll have to dig those as well. So it's a continual process of trying to remove them mechanically. On larger material, you really need a puller, a mechanism for pulling them out, or you want to go to a cut and control procedure. Some of the smaller material you can get away with cutting just with a lopper, come off pretty easily. Some of the larger material, of course, you're going to have to go to a saw, and you can use just a buck saw or a chainsaw. So you want to make sure when you're cutting that you cut with a real flush cut. And the reason we want that flush cut is we want the product to soak into the main stem entirely. If you have a cut at an angle, it's going to run off any number of products. They can be sprayed, and then they will gradually seep in, and you ultimately want to kill the root. You may still get some resprouting that occurs, but it'll be out farther away from the main stem, and that will again have to be controlled. If you elect not to use any kind of chemical herbicides, you will be covering it, either with a coffee can or some other material that's impervious to light, and it may take as long as 2 years of covering so we don't get that resprout that occurs there. This is a classic example here of where the actual buckthorn was cut and then it wasn't controlled after the cut, and we got very aggressive resprouting. In this case, it came right from the base of the cut stem, and within a year or two, we're right back to where we started with a very, very aggressive and vigorous plant.